U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a new round of tariffs on imports from nearly 40 countries, according to a report from CNN. The new measures include revised tariff rates, some increased, some reduced, based on trade negotiations and national security considerations. Trump stated that several countries have already reached agreements or are in the final stages of discussions with the United States. However, others either declined, participate, or offered terms that the U.S. deemed insufficient to correct ongoing trade imbalances. Revised tariff rates by country. Previous rate, new rate. Angola, 32%, 15%. Bangladesh, 37%, 20%. Bosnia and Herzegovina, 35%, 30%. Botswana, 37%, 15%. Brunei, 24%, 25%. Cambodia, 49%, 19%. Cameroon, 11%, 15%. Chad, 13%, 15%. Côte d'Ivoire, 21%, 15%. Democratic Republic of Congo, 11%, 15%. Equatorial Guinea, 13%, 15%. European Union, 20%, 15% on most goods. Falkland Islands, 41%, 10%. Fiji, 32%, 15%. Guyana, 38%, 15%. India, 26%, 25%. Indonesia, 32%, 19%. Iraq, 39%, 35%. Israel, 17%, 15%. Japan, 24%, 15%. Jordan, 20%, 15%. Kazakhstan, 27%, 25%. Laos, 48%, 40%. Lesotho, 50%, 15%. Libya, 31%, 30%. Liechtenstein, 37%, 15%. Madagascar, 47%, 15%. Malawi, 17%, 15%. Malaysia, 24%, 19%. Mauritius, 40%, 15%. Moldova, 31%, 25%. Mozambique, 16%, 15%. Myanmar, 44%, 40%. Namibia, 21%, 15%. Nauru, 30%, 15%. Nigeria, 14%, 15%. North Macedonia, 33%, 15%. Pakistan, 29%, 19%. Philippines, 17%, 19%. Serbia, 37%, 35%. South Korea, 30%, 15%. Sri Lanka, 44%, 20%. Switzerland, 31%, 39%. Taiwan, 32%, 20%. Thailand, 36%, 19%. Tunisia, 28%, 25%. Vanuatu, 22%, 15%. Vietnam, 46%, 20%. Zambia, 17%, 15%. Zimbabwe, 18%, 15%. Additional tariff framework. 10% tariff. Impose on countries running a trade surplus with the U.S., i.e., the U.S. exports more than imports from them. 15% tariff. Applied to countries with a trade deficit in their relationship with the U.S. The revised tariff regime affects a wide range of imports and is designed to rebalance trade relationships. For some countries, the tariffs represent a reduction from rates introduced in April, while others will now face increases. In total, more than 10 countries will be subject to tariffs exceeding 15%, primarily due to terms in existing trade agreements. Background on Trump's trade policy. Back in April, Trump introduced sweeping tariffs on imports, sending shockwaves through global markets. However, many of these tariffs were quickly suspended for countries engaged in ongoing negotiations. More recently, the U.S. reached a new trade deal with the European Union. As part of that agreement, a general 15% tariff will apply to imports from the EU's 27 member states. As for potential impacts on other regions, such as Ukraine, it remains unclear how the new EU trade deal may influence future negotiations or economic ties.